making headlines this hour. First Lady Sajida Mohammed says healthcare is not merely a public service, but the most important service for establishing equality and equity in society. The government submits amendments to the Waste Management Act that include easing the levy charged on plastic bags. And Minister of Education, Higher Education and Skills Development assures the practical construction of the Kamandu School building project in Kamandu, Ba Atoll will be completed during the second term of this academic year. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Fatma Zaina Rifat. And now for the news in detail. First Lady Sajida Mohammed says healthcare is not merely a public service, but the most important service for establishing equality and equity in society. The First Lady made the remarks while addressing the opening ceremony of the 3rd International Joint Conference for Healthcare Professionals 2026, held with the participation of healthcare professionals from the Maldives and 9 other countries. Speaking as the chief guest, Sajida Mohammed said conferences of this nature bring together healthcare professionals from different fields, creating opportunities for meaningful dialogue and collaboration. She said such discussions not only contribute to the advancement of the healthcare sector but also represent an important step towards improving the well-being of communities. The First Lady noted that a society without good health cannot achieve sustainable growth and development. She also acknowledged the dedication of healthcare professionals, saying every stage of a patient's treatment depends on the commitment, hard work and professionalism of those working across the healthcare system. Referring to the developments in the global health sector, First Lady Sajida said the Maldives is making significant efforts to adapt modern innovations and improve healthcare services. She added that conferences such as this provide valuable opportunities to exchange ideas, share research findings, and identify practical solutions to challenges facing the sector. The First Lady also paid tribute to nurses, describing them as healthcare professionals who remain closest to patients throughout their treatment. She commended their dedication and the support they provide to patients and their families during difficult times. Concluding her address, First Lady called on all stakeholders to continue working together through dialogue and research to identify the changes needed to further strengthen the Maldives healthcare system. President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu nominates former Attorney General Fatmat Diana Saeed as the Maldives ambassador to the European Union, EU and Belgium. A letter sent by President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu to the Parliament requesting parliamentary approval for Diana's appointment to the post was read in Parliament. The matter has now been referred to the Parliament's Committee on Foreign Relations for consideration before the Parliament makes a decision on the appointment. During the administration of former President Mohamed Nasheed, Diana served as Attorney General. She also served as Minister of Gender during the presidency of former President Dr. Mohamed Wahid. Before joining the Foreign Service, Diana was appointed as Ambassador at Large in April this year. Parliament approves the appointment of 3 non-resident ambassadors to represent the Maldives in South Africa, the Czech Republic, and Mauritania and Kenya. The appointments were approved unanimously with the support of all 64 members who participated in the vote. Hala Hamid of Henveru Minas has been approved for appointment as the Maldives non-resident ambassador to South Africa. Amnat Abdullah Didi of Gulzar Tinadu Gafdalu Atoll has been approved for appointment as the Maldives non-resident ambassador to the Czech Republic. Meanwhile, Amin Javid Faisal of Henveri Atirige has been approved for appointment as the Maldives non-resident ambassador to the Republic of Mauritania and Kenya. The government submits amendments to the Waste Management Act that include easing the levy charged on plastic bags. The bill, submitted on behalf of the government by parliamentarian for Ungu Faru constituency Ibrahim Shifaz, was introduced for its first reading in Parliament on Tuesday. The proposed amendments include a complete ban on the import of waste into the Maldives and introduce a range of measures aimed at strengthening waste management regulations. They also propose scrapping the $0.13 levy currently charged per bag on bundles containing more than 50 plastic bags. As a result, government revenue generated from the plastic bag levy is expected to decline. According to the bill, the amendments are intended to more clearly define the roles of institutions responsible for implementing the Waste Management Act and facilitate more sustainable waste management practices. The bill also seeks to formally prohibit the import of waste, improve the planning and implementation of waste management activities, and address challenges encountered in enforcing the law. Other proposed amendments require businesses engaged in economic and industrial activities to develop waste management policies. The bill also stipulates that waste management activities must be aligned with the National Master Plan and City Waste Management Plans. In addition, the amendments provide for the establishment and implementation of waste management systems, the setting of waste management standards, reforms relating to waste management facilities, and the introduction of standards for equipment used in waste management. According to the bill, the proposed changes are expected to provide a more comprehensive legal framework for addressing waste management challenges in the Maldives. Minister of Education, Higher Education and Skills Development, Dr. Ismail Shafiu, assures the practical construction of the Kamandu School building project in Kamandu Ba Atoll will be completed during the second term of his academic year. The clarification came in response to an inquiry from Mauroof Zakir, the Member of Parliament for Kendu, who sought a definitive timeline for when students might occupy the promised facility. Minister Shafiu detailed during Tuesday's parliamentary session that the planning phase has concluded, and physical work is poised to begin early in the second term, with completion expected before the term ends. Although initially designated under the previous Maldivian Democratic Party administration, the initiative languished because adequate funding was not allocated in the budget by the time of the presidential transition. To address these fiscal shortfalls, the current administration formulated a comprehensive structural plan for the education sector in 2024, expanding the original blueprint of 2 classrooms and an office into a facility comprising 6 classrooms and an administrative building. Technical experts recently finalized all architectural designs and structural blueprints. Minister Shafiu maintained that the construction-related work is not progressing at all is an incorrect statement, adding that these tasks are directly connected to the project. Minister of Education, Higher Education and Skills Development, Dr. Ismail Shafiu, says 61% of the government's Cool School project, under which classrooms across the Maldives are being air-conditioned, has been completed. Speaking in Parliament on Tuesday in response to a question from Hitadu Central Member of Parliament Ahmad Azan regarding the installation of air conditioning at Sharifuddin School in Addu City, Dr. Shafiu said the project was launched on the instruction of President Dr. Mohamed Moizu in response to long-standing public demand. The minister said the work had been completed at 61% of the 217 schools included in the Cool School project. He added that the work is now focused on upgrading electrical systems at the remaining schools where installations have yet to be completed. The minister said Sharifuddin School is among those where air conditioning units have already been installed, with work currently underway to upgrade the school's electrical network before the systems can be commissioned. He added that efforts are being made to expedite the remaining work, with the aim of completing the project before the start of the second school term. The Cool School project aims to provide a permanent solution to excessive classroom heat, improving learning conditions for students and working conditions for teachers. Fenaka was awarded the contract to install air conditioning systems in schools last year, with implementation of the project beginning in January this year. The Ministry of Climate Change, Environment and Energy reveals more than 500,000 tons of waste are generated annually in the Maldives, with efforts underway to strengthen the country's waste management system. The ministry provided an update on ongoing waste management initiatives during a press conference held on Tuesday. Speaking at the briefing, Director General of Waste Management and Pollution, Ahmed Murtala, said managing waste in the Maldives remains particularly challenging due to the country's geography as an island nation. He said transporting waste by land and sea accounts for a significant proportion of waste management costs, while effective measures to reduce the volume of waste generated have yet to be fully realized. According to Murtala, the Maldives now generates more than 517 tons of waste each year. Murtala also outlined waste generation across different sectors, noting that the volume of waste produced by the tourism industry continues to increase. He said a new legal framework has been developed to strengthen waste management in the Maldives. Under the legislation, 4 new regulations will be introduced: the General Waste Management Regulation, the Waste Management Service Provision Regulation, the Single-Use Plastics Reduction Regulation, and the Extended Producer Responsibility (EPR) regulation. Murtala said the legislation clearly defines the responsibilities of all institutions involved in waste management, including local councils, the ministry, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Utility Regulatory Authority, and other relevant stakeholders. Murtala also pointed to a reduction in the use of plastic supari packets as an example of progress in waste reduction, noting that the packets, once commonly seen discarded on streets across the country, are now rarely visible. The Civil Service Commission announces that the specific challenges and workplace difficulties currently faced by educators within the national educational sector are being actively identified and discussed to formulate effective solutions. Representing the largest single-sector workforce within the civil service employee population, these professionals are entrusted with the nationwide provision of education, routinely enduring long hours within one of the most rigorously hard-working sectors in the country. Consequently, due to the demanding nature of the work environment and the existing structure of institutional matters, the teaching profession remains one of the sectors harboring the most significant concerns. Ibrahim Rashid, the Consul General of the Civil Service Commission, stated during an appearance on the PSM news program Raja Miyado that to comprehensively assess these workplace obstacles, direct meetings are currently being conducted with employees, noting that consultations have already taken place with numerous schools within the Malay region. He stated that the primary concern raised by professionals within the education sector pertain to transition towards the pay framework, as the salaries across all state institutions are currently being migrated to the new system. The Consul General added this relates specifically to how ranks are occasionally determined and the established procedures followed in awarding promotions, noting that active consultations are underway with the National Pay Commission. The Commission noted grievances have also been raised regarding overtime allowances and obligations to work during weekends, prompting collaborative efforts with both the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Skills Development and the Pay Commission to address these matters, adding that tailored solutions are imperative for nurses and teachers due to their distinct working conditions. The Commission further noted that resolutions to these pressing operational issues are expected to be introduced very soon. Bank of Maldives Chief Executive Officer Mohammed Sharif says BML plans to expand its digital wallet, Swipe, to allow Maldivians traveling overseas to make payments without using a physical bank card. Speaking about the platform's future development, Sharif said BML also plans to introduce a new feature later this month that will enable users to receive money from overseas instantly, with funds credited in the same way as a domestic transfer. The BML CEO also said Swipe will enable Maldivians to make payments abroad without needing to use a bank card. He added that the bank's ambition is to make Swipe the preferred digital wallet for tourists visiting the Maldives as well, allowing them to make payments across the country. Furthermore, Swipe is expected to provide a system through which people can receive money sent from overseas instantly and without any transfer fees. Swipe was launched in March 2025 as a digital wallet developed entirely by Maldivians. According to BML, the platform complies with international financial regulations payments and payment service standards. The wallet supports both domestic and international transactions. Users can link their BML accounts or top up their wallets using any credit, debit, or prepaid card. BML said the application currently allows customers to make contactless payments by scanning QR codes, while users can also send money instantly, receive funds into multi-currency accounts from anywhere in the world, and monitor their spending through the application. According to statistics released by the Maldives Port Limited, MPL, more than 335 tons of cargo were exported from the Maldives through the sea-to-air cargo service last month. The sea-to-air cargo service allows goods arriving by sea to be transshipped and forwarded by air to other countries. According to MPL's latest statistics, more than 335 tons of cargo were shipped from the Maldives to 7 countries last month, using 4 airlines. This is equivalent to 65 TEUs, 20-foot equivalent units. The airlines used for the sea-to-air cargo shipments were Qatar Airways, Turkish Airways, Saudia, and Emirates. The 335 tons handled in June represented a 102% increase compared with May, when 162 tons of cargo were exported through the service. The sea-to-air cargo service is jointly provided by Maldives Airport Company Limited, MACL, and MPL. The service was launched in May 2024. Sea-to-air cargo is widely used around the world, generating significant economic benefits for countries that offer the service. The government has said the Maldives is well positioned to expand the sector, given the large number of international airlines serving the country, creating further opportunities to develop the service. Microsoft cuts about 2.1% of its workforce, or roughly 4,800 jobs, the latest in a wave of tech layoffs as the Windows maker spends heavily on AI infrastructure and uses the technology to improve efficiency across its business. Big Tech's historic AI outlays, set to top $700 billion this year, are piling pressure on companies to show returns from the technology and offset the rising cost of rolling it across their businesses. Amazon and Meta Platforms have also laid off thousands of employees this year. Microsoft announced the cuts on Monday following a rough stretch, with its shares falling nearly 23% in the first 6 months of 2026. Their worst first-half performance since 2022. The software giant earlier this year offered voluntary buyouts to about 7% of its U.S. workforce, or about 9,000 employees. Microsoft often trims jobs near the end of its fiscal year in June, as it sets spending plans for the new year. Booming AI demand has powered growth at Microsoft's Azure cloud computing business, which was the exclusive seller of OpenAI's models until April. But the mounting cost of building data centers to run those services is squeezing its cash flows. The company, expected to report results later this month, had in April forecast quarterly Azure sales above Wall Street estimates, but also issued a $190 billion spending projection for 2026 that massively surpassed expectations. AI tools that can increasingly automate routine business tasks have also emerged as a threat to its lucrative software business, while a surge in memory chip prices driven by data center demand has forced Microsoft to raise Xbox console prices at a time when demand for the console was already soft. The gaming division's new head, Asha Sharma, said last month the business needed a reset and that its profit margin had declined to 3%, forcing a restructuring that could include potential M&A. The Information reported last month the company is considering options for the Xbox gaming unit, including a potential spin-off or restructuring as a wholly owned subsidiary. Authorities says the death toll from Venezuela's twin earthquakes have risen to 3,535, while nearly 18,000 people remain homeless more than a week after the disaster struck the capital and nearby coastal areas. top lawmaker Jorge Rodriguez said the latest official tally showed 16,740 people injured and 17,854 left without housing after the June 24th quakes, which measured magnitudes of 7.2 and 7.5 and struck within seconds of each other. The new figures underscore the scale of the disaster in and around Caracas and La Guaira, the coastal area hit hardest, as criticism mounts over the government's response. Venezuela's social vice presidency said at least 12,800 people were staying in 80 shelters across Caracas and La Guaira. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez has defended the government's handling of the disaster amid growing frustration from Venezuelans, who have described the response as late and inadequate. She said security forces were deployed immediately after the quakes and announced the creation of a new military unit to help tackle future emergencies and disasters. In La Guaira on Monday, Reuters witnesses saw trucks and Focinic workers transporting coffins, while machinery dug trenches in an open area marked by white crosses, where authorities were burying unidentified bodies. The United Nations said it was continuing to ramp up aid operations in coordination with the government in Caracas.
We and our partners are continuing to scale up assistance to impacted people by the earthquakes in coordination with the government. Our colleagues from the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs tell us that some search and rescue teams remain deployed in the affected areas, while other specialized support teams from medical to engineering continue to arrive.
Dujarric said a comprehensive needs assessment that will form the basis of an updated response plan was nearly complete, though he did not say when it would be released. UN agencies are already providing services in 3 camps and assessing other sites for expanded support. Kylian Mbappe and his France teammates continues training preparations ahead of their 2026 FIFA World Cup quarter-final against Morocco. Earlier, Mbappe hit back a Paraguayan senator, describing her as a despicable woman after she launched a racist attack on him following Paraguay's elimination from the World Cup. Mbappe's penalty proved the difference in a bruising and ill-tempered match, as France won 1-0 in Philadelphia on Saturday to advance to the last 8. Celeste Amaria wrote a long racist triad on X describing Mbappe as a colonized Cameroonian, desperately trying to pass himself off as French, and as a brute who had not learned to write. Paraguay's players should have slapped him after the match, she added. Mbappe, the French captain, responded with a strongly worded statement defending not only himself but also the Paraguay players. The French Football Federation, FFF, escalated the matter, announcing plans to file a criminal complaint, describing her remarks as utterly abhorrent and unacceptable. The Paraguayan government says it deplores and rejects the statement made by Amaria, saying they are contrary to the values and principles that inspire peaceful coexistence and respect for human dignity that our country promotes. French President Emmanuel Macron's office said the Paraguayan president had written to him to express support and commended the remarks. Basilio Nunez, the leader of the legislature, said the comments do not represent the genuine values of Paraguayans. Armored riders thunders across Brussels' historic Sablon Square as part of annual Omahang Festival, UNESCO-listed celebration of Belgian medieval heritage. The jousting demonstrations featured reenactors in authentic armor charging at each other with lances, recreating tournaments from the 16th century. Julie Codina, a 38-year-old medieval costume designer, described the thrill of the sport. The festival, which runs from July 1st to July 4th, involves 1,200 reenactors, who parade through Brussels' historic center from the Sablon district to the Grand Palace. Participants range from children to long-time members, with many families involved across generations. The Omahang was inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity in 2019. Organizers say the festival continues to evolve while preserving its historical character, combining pageantry, horsemanship, and community participation in one of Brussels' most prominent summer events. And that's all the news we have today. Thank you for watching PSM News.